Swish. Hello. Good evening. It is time for us to re-examine flex on them. There you go. Flexed on, bitch. Well, yeah, it's been like 20 years since I've had a haircut that wasn't one of those two things, right? And then I let it grow. Like if I'd get my hair buzzed, right? And I'd let it grow out until it looked like shit and I'd get it buzzed again, right? Or for the last like 10 years or so, close to it, I've had long hair, right? Where you don't do anything to it. So the drip is better matching today. It's just a shirt, friend. Just my like summertime shirt. I own one of these colored shirts, and this is it. God loves me. Cool. Oh, sweet pie. Good morning. Mm. How are you? How about you, D?
Started the coffee.
Oh, got the coffee going. Hallelujah.
Yeah, that call was them asking when they can fix the drywall in the garage.
Oh, okay.
So I sent them pictures and they'll let me know either today or Monday if they can come out.
Okay. That's good. Man, they don't. I think if you want to get the company that owns this house to like take a maintenance request like immediately, you have to involve water in it.
Yeah.
So like next time we have a problem, like let's say a fence blows down, we'll be like, a fence in the backyard has blown down, causing a cascade of water to drizzle into the house.
Oh, he hasn't had his brekkie yet, has he?
He is not.
Dad's never so good about getting his brekkie.
I forgot today. I forgot the brick. Well, like I said, this is the only collared shirt that I have. So, is what it is, right? According to people, I'm going to need to get a few of collared shirts like this.
You don't have to change anything about how you dress. You don't want to.
That's true. But people were saying last night, they were like, the cut looks like it was transplanted onto you because the rest of your like People in the Discord, because I told them be honest, and they were like, "Well, the hair looks great, but the way you dress looks like it doesn't match the hair." That's what they said.
Well, fuck them.
Fuck them. Yeah, I guess you're right.
If you want more collared shirts, we'll get more collared shirts. But don't just get more collared shirts because someone said that you should get more collared shirts.
Okay, that's a good point. I don't really want more collared shirts, so that'll be enough.
Your hair doesn't have to define your wardrobe.
Well, people want there to be a complete look when you've got a good haircut.
Well, fuck them. They don't have to look at you every day.
True.
They don't have to wear the clothes.
True. Very true. I thought I'd try this today, just to see if the collared shirt made a difference. People are saying it does.
But I don't think you're happy with it.
Well, I'm not unhappy with it. I just don't wear stuff like this very often because it does. Typically, this looks pretty goofy, like a collared shirt with long hair and an unkempt beard looks pretty goofy. See our wedding photo.
It was not goofy.
I looked
better than I did.
No, you looked beautiful, and I looked like a big, giant, hairy Sasquatch that somebody forced into a button-up shirt.
I mean, I think the truth is neither of us were very prepared for dressing up for the wedding, so neither of us wanted the ideal wardrobe for the wedding.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was kind of something that we did during a time when nothing was open.
Yeah.
You know, we did the best we could, man.
Yeah.
But a printer salesman who got thrown into a castaway situation. Yes, that's what it was. Yeah. I looked like a dude that was, yeah, like a printer salesman or something. And then I got trapped on an island. You know what I mean? For like 6 months. That was the look, right? I have listened to the new Slick Rick. I like it. I like it quite a bit. I mean, it's weird to me how much his flow maintains, even though he's got to be 65 years old now, right? Like the dude sounds like he sounded in his 20s, and he's in his 50s or something.
There's no like auto tuning that you can pick up.
No, he's not a singer. You know, he's a rapper. That his delivery, very forward in the nasal delivery kind of guy. I'm like, dude, please. Everything comes out of here, right?
Probably better as you age, I'm guessing, because it's not as straining on your vocal cords if you're doing it nasally. Maybe.
Yeah. I saw Shock G. I saw a video of Shock G, who was Humpty. Most people know him as Humpty from the Humpty Dance is your chance to do the hump. So he was the guy that played that character of Humpty was Shock G, and he was talking about different rappers and where they pulled from vocally, right? And so he talked about Slick Rick and Humpty being right up here in the front of your face, coming out of your nose, coming out of here, right? And then he said, he talked about Tupac, and he was like, Tupac was pulling from Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, right? You know, making love is the sweetest joy next to getting pussy, right? Like that sort of thing. So it's kind of interesting how that works out. Biggie was just very like staccato, but sloppy. Still I see no changes. Wake up in the morning and I ask myself, is life worth living? Should I blast myself? Yeah, Digital Underground was Shock G's group. And when he was doing stuff with Digital Underground, he was typically Humpty with a fake nose and a big fur coat. And my sounds laid down by the underground. All nasal. Well, didn't know you were a hip hop historian. I'm not a hip hop historian, but I've been a hip hop head since before I was 10 years old. At 8 or 9 years old, I've been a hip hop head. I wish I was like 6'9" so I could get with Loquisha because Yoshi's really fine. Listen to some Ghetto Boys, yes. Yes, yes, yes. I've heard of horrorcore rap, yes. I don't know that I listen to many rappers that are in that genre outside of ICP when they would, I think ICP is horrorcore a little bit, depending on the song. Like Mr. Johnson's Head, I think is like a horrorcore classic. Sitting in the class with my head on my desk. Teacher trying to talk, but I could give a fuck less. Do you understand and recognize miracles? Buzz. Wish I had a girl who looked good, I would call her. Wish I had a rabbit in a hat with a bat and a 6'4" Impala. Uh-oh. Who's over there messing with the chickens? That raccoon better not be trying to snatch him a chicken. That raccoon better not be trying to snatch him one. He's gonna snatch one too many. Something tells me that neighbor with the chickens has got a gun. One of these days. Well, our neighbor said that the big fat raccoon that lives around here is a chicken snatcher. So, but yeah, you're right. Daytime is not their favorite time to be doing things. But I've seen him twice in the daytime, so. I don't get the lesbian. I guess this is a lesbian haircut, but I don't like, to me it looks like, to me this is more reminiscent of like the Peaky Blinders type of haircut, the super high shave or whatever with a bunch of hair left on top. Like, I don't know. I guess I don't hang out with a ton of lesbians. A butch haircut some lesbians get. Yeah. Well, people were telling me yesterday that it's like bi coded or whatever, and I was like, cool. That's good. This is the first time I've had a haircut like that. I didn't ask for one, but I was given one. It works. Okay.
Why did you have your meds or no?
Yes, I did. No guilt, Paul. No guilt, Paul. Jeez. I'm getting dubbed new things now. Thanks, Gomer Wilding. I appreciate it. No, I mean I've been talking about getting a haircut, just nonchalantly with Amelia for a long time. Like, and ultimately, like, I was starting to get really annoyed with having long hair. It was in my face, it was up my nose, it was in my eyes, it was in my mouth. I was eating it, I was drinking it, I was, you know what I mean? It was like taking over the situation, and that's why I went and got a haircut. That's it. I literally got tired of sitting and spitting out my own hair, and that's it. But I've been talking about it for a long time, uh, and kind of like wanting to do it here and there for a long time. Because on the other hand, too, I was kind of just sick of looking at myself and TJ and Scotty and seeing the same basic hairstyle and beard, right? I know TJ changed it up recently, but it's quickly returning. Hairline is on display and it's mogging mine. Can somebody, okay, I'm a boomer. Can somebody explain to me mogging? Is it like mean mugging? I don't know what mogging is. What the fuck is a mog? I know what a Moogle is. There was a Moogle named Mog in Final Fantasy 3 stunting on him. Okay, all right. Flexing.
This is saying mogging's a slang word referring to a man or woman who is a lot more attractive and good looking than an average male or female.
Okay.
So they're saying you look good.
So they say I look good. Yeah. But my hairline is mogging their hairline. What does that mean?
That you look better than them.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, why not flexing or I get well mogging, but that it means very specifics. It means a very specific thing. It's a new word.
Yeah. So if you're mogging someone, you're showing them up. You're looking better than they are.
Okay. Got it. There you go. Now I know. Now I understand it. Mogging is like 1-to-1 rather than flexing 1-to-many. Oh, okay. Right. That makes a little bit of sense.
So you're showing up like
in person.
Yeah.
1-to-1 versus like flexing is like I drive a Bentley. What do you drive? Mm-hmm. Okay, got it.
You're mogging me because you got a fresh haircut.
No, you're mogging me. Okay, I don't even want to hear this. I just learned this word and I'm not letting you misapply. Okay, you mog me. You mog the shit out of me. Okay. It's like one-upping someone. Yeah, that's what Peepaw would say. You trying to one-up me, boy? It's a cute word. Mogging. But I don't want to hear it out of you towards, like, about me to you. No, no. There's a one-way mog flow in this house. All right? And let me explain to you what it is. Amelia mogs on Cricket. Cricket mogs on Dinor. Dinor mogs on me, and I mog on nobody.
I wouldn't say I mog on Cricket.
Oh, you do. You do. The only thing cuter in this house than Cricket is you.
What about Dinor?
Dinor's handsome. He's handsome and rugged and vicious. He's not cute. You're not cute, Hunty. Let them decide. This dog is vicious. This dog is not cute, right? This is a wolf. If you saw that, look at how he's licking his chops. Like he's ready to devour the flesh of the beast.
Yep.
You know, this dog, I don't want to scare anybody, right? Because he's fine as long as I'm with him, right? But this dog straight up killed a mole that was that big. Straight up murdered. I watched him. Cold-blooded. Cold-blooded murder. So don't, you know what I mean? Dinor mogs me. Dinor mogs me hard. He's mogging hard right now. Thank you. Thank you for the legs. That's very sweet of you. Can I see your beard? Can I touch your beard? Just want to see it.
You just gotta make sure your beard's okay, otherwise we're gonna have to trim it.
Yeah, I'll make sure. I'll make sure you got no mats going on in your beautiful beard. Wow. Yeah.
You warm enough like that?
Yeah, it's fun. I think I have
You've acclimated fully.
well, maybe not fully, but but my blood is starting to, what would it be? Thin or thicken?
I guess, yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be 62 today rather than 58 like they were first projected.
Man, high of 62 right at the end of June.
It looks like not this upcoming week, but the week after that, it might start getting toasty again.
I see. I see. Well. The only watchable piece of content on the vertical live feed right now. It's become a wasteland out there, ladies and gentlemen. Like the last time I did some scrolling on the lives, a couple weeks ago or something, a live came up when I was scrolling shorts. So I started scrolling lives for a second. I'm trying to remember. I saw 3 tarot people, right? Which is whatever. At least they were doing something. I saw 3 or 4 dudes playing a video game that I could barely see because it was in a tiny window in a vertical stream. And they took up most of the rest of the window. I saw, a handful of like obvious titty streamers who were just kind of like standing there and going, "Oh yeah, that's very good." And the camera's angled down the tits. A couple of like preacher types, you know what I mean? Like dudes that are like, look like they don't have their shit together at all, but they're preaching about what God wants you to do. You know what I mean? The odd, like, Gujarati looking woman, like Indian or Bangladeshi woman who's laying there fully clothed and doing this on a pillow. Like she's laying on a pillow and she's rocking back and forth like this and staring blankly. And this is I presume is supposed to simulate sex for people in those places because they're not allowed to look at anything that is unclothed. And so it's just close enough to, like, maybe that woman off camera is getting railed that it gets them hot. Yeah, dude, I mog the vertical streams. I mog them because I talk. Just because I talk to people. That's it. It's all you got to do to mog on the vertical streamers is talk to other people. My favorite one is the dude that looks like he is days from having to seek shelter somewhere else, that is preaching about how to walk with the Lord and stuff like that. Like they got no shit together, but he's preaching about how you got to get off the drugs, you got to get off this, you got to stop fornicating, you got, right? And it's just like, for what? Yeah, 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 yeah. Yep. You gotta love that. That's Christian. That's Christianity for you, though. Now that Amelia mentioned it, I am getting cold sitting out here. Like it's starting. It's starting to become cold. So I'm gonna get my sweater. Okay. Yeah, that's more reasonable. I feel like I'm not gonna. You know, another thing is too is like the back of my neck is cold.
Yeah, because you don't have no hair covering it.
You don't think about it, but like a lot of heat is probably radiated out of this right here.
Yeah.
And if you've got a big blanket of hair laying on your shoulders, that's gonna keep a lot of heat in.
Yeah. Well, you can always pop your collar up.
Yeah, pop the collar. But it feels better. Flannel is kind of magic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's not very thick, but it's warm. just went through my first breakup with my girlfriend. What is your advice on how to move on, get back on the horse? Also, she wants me to be best friends with her. No. You have to tell her, as much as I would like to remain friends with you, that is not going to happen. Okay, that's a good piece of advice right there. So you can disabuse her of that notion. And then otherwise, you need to stop talking to her for a good long time, right? I'm not saying that you can't be cordial with somebody that you dated in the past. I'm saying that for the next year, you don't pick up her phone calls, you don't answer her texts, you don't answer her emails, you let her know you're not interested in talking to her anymore. And then you go through it, right? You got to be sad. You got to cry. You got to go out and do inadvisable things and get drunk and party with your friends and do all the things you do. You got to do that. But if you let the girl stay in your life and continuously pick the scab open as it heals, you're just going to be in the same spot you're at now 2 years from now. You can't let that happen. If there was a breakup, it's time. That's what they call it, a breakup, for a reason. It means you're not best friends anymore. It means you're not close like you used to be. So there's my advice. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Get rid of all the pictures in your phone. I don't have any pictures of my exes hanging around in my phone. Get rid of the pictures. If you're one of those people that goes back and rereads texts and stuff, delete all that shit off your phone. Think of it like a wound, because that's what it is, right? It is an open wound. And how does the body deal with an open wound? It encloses it, right? It shuts it out. It completely keeps the air and the bacteria and stuff from getting to it at all by putting it in a dark room so that it can rebuild the tissue in there. That is exactly what you need to do. You need to scab over and not let this woman be a part of your life for a while. Or man, or whoever it is. You said girlfriend, I guess, so. But this is not just to you, right? But yeah, it is there. I've been through shit like this before. You know what I mean? Multiple times, actually, where it's like you go through a breakup, but the person wants to still come around. My first real big, long, actual adult relationship, right? Live-in relationship. It blew up. And then the girl wanted to come back around every once in a while for a booty call or for a shoulder to cry on, or wanted me to come do something that like a friend would go do with her and stuff. And I did that shit. Because the scab never healed, right?
Well, you didn't know better either.
Right. Well, it was my first adult relationship, You learn the hard way. That's the thing is and it's hard to explain that to people, but I feel like the whole let's be best friends. We just don't work, right? That's nice in theory, but really what it is like, I want to feel better about busting your whole fucking life up. So we'll be friends, okay? That makes it better on my end, right? It's like, no, you broke my fucking heart. You destroyed my life. I can't be your friend. I'm not available in that way. I can't do it.
And the risks too is oh, let's talk about maybe getting back together, which is a terrible idea.
Yeah, well, like I said, that first relationship of mine existed in this weird non-platonic limbo where it was like we were fucking and then we weren't. She was dating other people. I never was. She would get tired of dating somebody. She'd be back in my bed. It's like, and I was sitting there thinking, like, well, it's better than not having her. It's better than, but it wasn't. It was literally just like, imagine a big scab that you pick every day and it just bleeds. Is it possible to ever be the type of person that would do something like that, or will it always need? Is it possible to ever be the type of person that can do something like that, or will it always need to be messy? You mean like set boundaries? Yeah, no, it's possible. Yeah, no, it's possible. I'm not saying that like that every breakup is messy, but it doesn't have to be this thing that goes on and on and on. People make it that.
But making friends with your ex doesn't make it less messy.
No. Well, I mean, like, here's the thing. With enough time and distance, that's fine, right? It's like my ex, Ashley. She and I had Dinor together, right? He was our dog. I still contact Ashley every once in a while, or she'll contact me with a picture of him, right? As a friendly, like, hey, here's the dog that I know you love. It was tough to leave him. He's good, right? Every once in a while, Ashley will pop into the chat and I'll say, hey, what's up? Right? That's okay. That's not us being best buds, texting all day. We're not in each other's lives anymore, right? But it's okay that we acknowledge that we once were, right? That's okay. But you can't get to that point without distance and time. How did you decide who got the dog? There was no decision. It was Dinor was staying with me. It was very kind of her to not even make an issue of that. But Dinor was bonded to me closer probably than he was bonded to her. She knew that. She didn't want to rip the relationship and the dog away from me and leave me with absolutely nothing. And it was kind of her to not make a big stink about that, because I know it was hard. So I've done it. So
You just work better with Dinor too.
yeah.
Like you could say, like Dinor maybe isn't as glued to you as like Cricket's glued to me, but he listens to you more than anyone else.
Yeah. Yes. So that's the way it works, right? So that was nice. Breakups are ugly and messy and emotionally damaging and stuff, but they don't have to be like absolute hell. But the way that you make it not absolute hell is you set boundaries and you enforce them. Did you leave a dog with an ex? Yes. When I got divorced, I had 2 dogs, Yoshi and Koopa. Loved them just as much, every bit as much as I loved Dinor, right? But there was no way I was going to separate them from their home. That wasn't in the cards. So I never even made the insinuation that I was taking them.
If Boogie was still alive, you probably would have taken Boogie.
No doubt.
And there wouldn't have been any pushback.
No, there wouldn't.
Boogie was your dog.
Boogie was my dog, yes. But, Yoshi and Koopa, particularly Koopa, was her dog. Yoshi was kind of mine. You know what I mean? That's how it worked out, bonding-wise. But they were bonded to each other more than they were bonded to me or her. So I didn't want to break them up, and I wouldn't have taken them out of their home, and it was just not happening. So I made, and that's because when I left, I made sure that the emotion that was poured into the leaving was towards getting somewhere better, not I'm going to stick it to her. Right? I'm going to leave and I'm going to take everything, or I'm going to get half of every goddamn dollar, and I'm going to get half of every goddamn piece of property, and I'm going to get half of the dogs and custody and this, that, blah, 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 right? I when I was preparing myself to end that marriage, I saw that. It's like I saw those two paths. And I was like, I just literally can't walk one of those paths. Can't. It's not even an option. I didn't have children. So that's, dogs are one thing, children are another, right?
Do you think more people are getting into the trap of like trying to share custody of pets after breaking up?
Well, here's the thing is that you got to be aware of this, right? The pet is one of those things that people will use to keep a door open.
Yeah.
If you allow it, right? And so this whole custody, oh, I'm going to come see the pet, they're really coming to see you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to come pick up the dog, they're really coming to see you, right? That's now all these years later, if Ashley were to hit me up and be like, hey, I want to see Dinor, I'd be cool with it. Because there'd be no machination that she could pull, and I'm moved on, and we're fine. She's got a boyfriend, and I'm married, and everything's chill, right? I wouldn't balk at her coming and spending some time with Dinor. It'd be fine, right? But 6 months out after the breakup,
I was just curious if you think more people are trying to do that inadvisably now.
Absolutely. Well, here's what was inadvisable, honestly. Getting a dog with somebody who it was up in the air whether we were going to stay together, honestly. You don't think about your relationship with like that. But the truth of the matter is if I'm honest about my last relationship, the one I got Dinor in, stability is not exactly a word that I would use to describe it, right? And when you're in a relationship, you tend to not ignore, but accept those things as just part of the toughness of the relationship. But in reality, that type of conflict resurfacing over and over in your relationship is a sign that eventually it's going to get so bad that you're not going to be able to handle it. And when I say that type of conflict, I don't mean just arguments. I mean screaming mad fits, blow-ups, this type of thing. Would the wife be okay with the ex coming over? I don't know if I'd have the ex come over here and hang out here.
Like it would probably be through an intermediary or something.
Right.
We'd
I would
visit
yeah.
Chelsea, and then Chelsea would.
Or like if the ex is in the area, by happenstance that we live in, we meet her at a park.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll take Dinor down, put him on the leash. She can play with him all day.
You did that once, looking at your dog.
Yeah.
Got to see him one last time.
Yeah. It's a nice thing. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have a problem doing that. But yeah, that's different from like, hey, come on over and hang out, and we'll be, I'm not, we just can't. Well, you're 100% correct. My ex and I had constantly had poor conflict resolution. It was 12 years of that. The writing was on the wall from the jump. I mean, hindsight is 20/20, right? Love is a powerful drug, and it can make you overlook certain things, right? But the hardest one lesson for me is like Amelia and I. We've had what I would call arguments, but never even close to the type of absolutely screeching, screaming mad fits that I would get into with my exes.
Yeah. And I think all of our arguments have been triggered by stress that we both under too.
Well, that stress and just miscommunication, cross purposes sometimes, and we're not on the same page, but we think we are, and then it's something, but like those arguments, they don't boil over into these screaming, screeching things, and they don't go on for hours and hours and hours, and at the end,
not followed by passive aggressiveness.
They're not followed by days and days of cold shouldering each other, right? We resolve it. Once we've calmed down, it gets resolved. We talk it through until we both understand it. That you don't understand how important that is. Maybe you do, but in general, it's not about finding somebody that you never have any conflict with. It's about finding somebody who you resolve conflict with in a healthy way. Every human relationship has conflict. Everyone. Best friend, mom, son, mom, daughter, father, son, father, daughter, husband, wife, sibling. Every type has some sort of barrier and conflict in it. And it's how you deal with those conflicts, right? More than whether or not. Now, once again, if those conflicts are coming up all the time, even if you're dealing with them healthily, right? But it's a constant roller coaster of up,
it's
down,
not
up, down, up, down, up.
dealing with it healthily. They keep coming up over
Right.
and over. It's like a false
Right.
calm after each one if
Right.
they just keep popping up over and over again.
Exactly.
There's a difference between dealing with it and just squooshing it for next time.
Yeah. I've grown and learned a lot since the divorce. I've formed new relationships and learned what healthy communication is like. The disparity between that versus what I was used to is wild. Yeah. No, I'm, you know, I tell Amelia all the time. It's just like the word that comes to my mind is calm. And that shouldn't be like a rarity in a relationship, but I've never had a relationship that fostered so much understanding and calmness in my life. Calm, gentle, understanding has been completely absent from my life until I met Amelia. And I didn't even know to look for that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Even after all those years.
There's no textbook to relationships. People might claim that there's some textbooks to relationships, but I think you have to learn.
Yeah. Well, it's like when I think about you and I, right? Here's what I think about. You, if I were to be in my 20s when we met, right? Let's say you and I are the same age or whatever. I'm in my 20s when we met. There is absolutely no way I would have pursued you because I would have seen you as such an opposite to my energy that in my mind, the way I understood marriage and relationships, dating, having kids at that point in my life, right? I was looking for myself, or more like
Or
if you
your
want to
mom.
get if you want to get real psychological with it, I was looking for my mother.
Yeah.
And you're not my mother.
Yeah.
Right? You're very different from her. You're a personality away from her. And I don't think you and I would have ever.
No, you would have seen me as boring and
Not boring.
I mean,
just
from your 20s perspective, I think so.
I don't think so. I don't think boring would have come into it. I think I would have liked chilling with you. I think you and I would have vibed, maybe, right? But I don't think it ever would have gotten romantic, right? Or I wouldn't have considered it a romantic option because I would have found you to be so opposite my energy, right? And what I didn't know is that's what I believe that's what I needed. I was so much manic energy. And I'm looking for that in a partner that brings a bunch of manic energy in. And the end result was like real bad relationships. Bad. The dark mirror you proposed on Onion Nuggets. Right. Right. When I was talking about that, I mean it. It's like a healthy, loving relationship or even an unhealthy one. It'll show you yourself if you're looking. Right. You will see yourself reflected in that partner. How you treat them. Right. How angry you get with them. How you manipulate them or don't. Right. That is you. That's not them. And so that type of deep, caring, abiding relationship holds up a mirror to your face and it goes, this is who you really are on the inside.
I think people didn't understand what you were saying, or a lot of people didn't understand what you were saying because there's this negative connotation with a dark mirror.
Right. But I mean, it is negative.
Yeah.
or not entirely negative. I think it's healthy, right?
Well, it's uncomfortable.
But it's uncomfortable, right? It is, because if you will see the most negative parts of you reflected in a loving relationship. It happens, and it makes you have to. The idea is you have to deal with you. It's not people monkey wrench on their relationship constantly, and there are books, self-help books, and couples therapy. I'm not poo-pooing that. Go do it if you feel like you need it, but people work so much time monkey wrenching their relationship. What's the dynamic that we have to change? What is this? Right? It's you that needs to change. It's me that needs to change. How we deal with each other will change if we work on how we deal with ourselves. And that's something they don't teach. You never hear that, right? I feel like I can take you seriously now, just being honest. Well, the fact that you couldn't take me seriously just because I had long hair speaks more about you than it does me. But okay. I'm not saying anything here that I wouldn't have said when I had long hair and a beard. I guess I still have the beard, but longer beard. Bushier.
Yeah. You didn't take much length off. It was mostly bush.
Well, yeah, he told me, he was like, "Do you want it squared or rounded?" And I was like, "What do you think?" He was like, "Squared." Because it's going to, do the opposite of what your beard is doing now. He was like, he's a stylist too, right? So he's telling me like, it's cool having the big hair and the big beard and stuff. It's a look, right? But what it does is it makes you look round, makes your whole head look egg shaped almost, right? And he said if we do a square cut with this really high and tight, he's like, it's gonna elongate your head. So I think it kind of did, maybe a little.
Oh, could you pause it?
Yeah. Dude, I'm gonna go listen today. I've been kind of obsessed because on a drive recently. I did a road trip, couple hours both ways, right? And I listened to this album, and it's stuck in my head. Interpol, Turn on the Bright Lights from the early 2000s. I think it's like 2004 or some shit. Oh my god, bro, such a vibe. Such a vibe. Stuck in my head. Stuck in my head. Go grab me a J. Just make sure to respect the vibe if you join the server. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have a Discord server. I don't really shout it out much because I don't spend as much time in it as I used to. But I'm there once or twice a week, chilling. And, it's always a place you can, like, find me lurking if you want to have a chat with me. What? Oh, I got a boog? Oh, boy. Well, let me take care of that. You guys get to see a proper nose blow on camera. What other content creator lets you see the boogers? None.
That's probably just the cold that
Yeah.
nose run a little bit.
It's probably the unexpected sudden cold plus all the pollen and shit.
Yeah.
My nose is apt to drip. It's probably a lot easier to see boogs now too.
Yeah.
Because my mustache used to kind of like. Do I live in the U.S.? Yes. Y-E-S. I live in the U.S. Y-E-S. I'm so hot now, Jesus. Hey. Look at that. Stop it. Respeto. What is that from? Respeto.
Oh, you're thinking of that top model season.
Oh, yeah. Respeto. Do you guys do a Chicago meetup when you were with DP? If you did, I must have missed it. No, the closest thing we did to the Midwest was we did a couple of Ohio meetups with DP. 3, I think, in total in the Ohio area. So, yeah, no, we've never done a Chicago meetup, and we've never done an East Coast meetup either. But that is changing November 1st. November 1st. November 1st. Did you guys watch Top Model? Old seasons were dope. Yeah, we kind of like dip into it every once in a while and watch a season of it.
We kind of abandoned this last season.
Well, that's the problem. Is like if we don't watch at least an episode a day, we forget who these dumb bitches are,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't make any sense when we try and tune back in. But yeah, no,
Well,
it's
this season is weird because it had that weird censored blackface episode.
yeah, yeah.
There was some challenge they did in one of the early seasons where they had the girls race swapping, and then they took the episode off of Hulu, but they didn't take off the
Previews.
yeah the previews or the photos of the blackface when each girl got eliminated.
Yeah, it's odd. It is literally the most disgusting show. Well, maybe not the most disgusting, but it's up there. As in terms of being exploitative. It basically take these young women, fill their heads with inadequacies about their body, and force them to live in basically bunk beds in a house and film them arguing with each other and crying and having meltdowns and binging and purging and doing all this like really crazy stress behaviors, right? Then they have Tyra Banks come in and give a mom talk to one of them. And then the next episode, they're right back to telling them they're fat or too short or too ugly or their teeth are too fucking buck or something, right? They're right back to picking at their image again. And then at the end of it, one girl is crowned over all the other girls, right? And validated, while every other chick, all 20 of them that were in the initial cast, are basically told you're too ugly, fat, stupid, whatever, your race is wrong. You know, it goes everywhere. It's like you're too black, too ethnic, you're too this. You know what I mean? It's all these immutable characteristics being shoved down these girls' faces, and then they pretend they care about their mental health as they're shoving a camera in their face as they're sneaking out after purging. They stop the fucking thing and go like, "Whoa, we've got a girl that's got bulimia. She needs to get help. We're gonna have to like redo this season because she can't keep going." No, they keep the girl with bulimia around. They make it a joke. Like all the girls are like, "Ooh, she's throwing up, blah, blah, blah." Tyra comes in, gives a fake ass fucking thing when she knows that the modeling industry is absolutely filled with bulimics. Doesn't talk about that. Mm-hmm. Tries to act like she cares about this girl and then puts her in a fucking tight swimsuit the next day and takes pictures of her and criticizes them.
And then that one season with like the one plus size chick, they made sure that none of the places she went ever had anything in her size.
Yeah. Yeah, they always have these that season was wild.
Yeah.
Because they had this chick, Tokara,
yeah,
who was plus size.
And she was talented.
And she was talented. She did good.
Yeah.
But they would make it a point to where like, all right, we're going to a shoot. And all the girls would get a cool outfit, and every time Tokara wouldn't be able to fit into anything. And it's just like, you guys planned this show.
Yeah.
So they did it on purpose. They did it on purpose to try and get Tokara to lose a few pounds. And it's like,
she ended up just losing it. And they're like, why are you so unmotivated now?
Yeah. It's like, it's just gaslighting. Crazy show. It's an absolutely wild show, right? If you actually look at what's going on show to show, it is a wildly exploitative, psychologically damaging show, and I'm shocked that nobody fucking did a class action suit or something with a bunch of the girls on that shit.
Although I will say it's not as gross as Rock of Love.
Rock of Love was gross because watching Bret Michaels, like, fucking 55-year-old ass, like, lick and suck all over these, like, 19-year-olds and shit. It was just fucking wild. It was just, he was gross. Yeah. That's what made Rock of Love gross.
Yeah.
Is that he put off crazy peepaw vibes with all these younger women. Mm-hmm. And he was just feeling them up and sucking face with them like it was like an 80s like romance movie.
Like just like, at least with, what you call it?
Flavor of Love.
Yeah, he wasn't as gross.
Yeah, he wasn't like literally sucking face with every one of them in a line.
Yeah.
It was just like, man, somebody's gonna get herpes. Somebody's gonna get herpes. And then if somebody gets it, everybody gets it.
Mm-hmm.
What's the prize for going through that crap? Usually a cash prize and a relationship. Oh, you're talking about like top model?
Yeah, that's like a contract.
They get a $100,000 contract with Maybelline or something, CoverGirl or whatever it is that season. They get a modeling contract, which doesn't mean anything. It doesn't guarantee that you're getting work. It just means
they just tie them to an agency.
You're tied to an agency, and then you get a spread in a magazine shot by the photographer that helped break Tyra Banks, Gilles Ben Simon. So you get a spread in Elle magazine. You get a $100,000 contract with CoverGirl, and you get a modeling agency out of it. And most of the girls, don't ever go anywhere. You never hear of them again.
Like the first winner, I think they had said that they were more interested in the second place winner because she was more traditional model thin.
Mm-hmm.
So she was just kind of getting carted off to random countries and just kind of like put and like the thing with the modeling agency is they can't leave the agency to try to find an agency that likes them better and will give them better work.
Right. They're locked in for like a year to the Tom Ford agency, and it's up to Tom Ford whether or not they send them on a single sit.
Yeah. All they really get is the CoverGirl shit.
Yeah. They get the money for the CoverGirl thing. They get to shoot a CoverGirl ad campaign, and they get a spread in Elle magazine. So that's really what they get. $100,000 and some exposure. Right. So it's not like there's nothing on the line, but a lot of what they get is not. It didn't turn out well for most of the girls.
Because they were trying to do all this like cross purposes messaging in the reality show, and the reality show isn't just picking the girls that most modeling agencies would want.
No. Like a lot of times they would cut the one girl that actually has the look that modeling agencies want. They'll cut her like halfway through the season.
Yeah.
And then it's a bunch of girls. They're all beautiful. I'm not trying to be a critique guy like the judges, but I'm just saying.
Those agencies would pick that chick.
Right.
First.
Those agencies would have looked at the 20 girls on the show and picked these 2 or 3 that are probably not going to make it to the end.
Yeah.
And the show produces a girl that is beautiful, but not what the modeling agencies would have picked. Mm-hmm. So she ends up getting warehoused and shelved and doesn't get much work, and you never hear her name again. Mm-hmm. So.
Which, the smart thing for any of those girls to do on that show is to get as many numbers as they can get throughout the course of the show. Like, remember that one chick with the crazy eyes?
Yeah.
Japan really loved her for some reason, even though she got cut.
Yes.
Like, she should have gotten that number, and as soon as she got kicked off, hit them up. Like,
some of them probably did.
Yeah.
There were probably girls on that show that got big that didn't win it.
Yeah. They just got the right phone number and introduction and just...
So that is another upside to going through this gauntlet of psychological torture and gaslighting. Is they did put them in front of some big fucking moguls and some big designers and some big movers and shakers. And if they made an impression and got the right fucking contact information, who cares if you lost, right?
It was dumb to bring them to Japan, because Japan is not known for being inclusive at all.
No. Not at all. And there were like 2 or 3 black girls on the squad.
And like the Japanese designer they brought him to was like a futuristic crazy eyes girl.
Yeah.
That looked like a fucking overgrown toddler.
Yeah. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, it's a wild show, though. The only show that I think I would say is more directly disgusting, harmful, exploitative would have been Dr. Drew's Rehab or whatever it was. I can't remember what that was called. But you remember, like, he would have these B lists.
I haven't seen it ever.
Oh man, oh fuck. So he would get these like B list, C list celebrities, usually older, past their prime celebrities that didn't have much money left from their rock star or movie or TV career, but they had an alcohol problem or a drug problem left from it. And now they're all worn out and about to die. And Dr. Drew gives them the opportunity to come and do rehab. The catch, everything that you go through is on camera. Everything. Your mental breakdowns, your fucking, addiction is horrifying. There's a reason why it's a very private thing to go to a rehab, right? And Dr. Drew goes, I have a great idea. Why don't we just have these people who are drunk and drug-addled when they sign the contract, by necessity, sign away their rights to privacy, and then film their mental breakdown. Celebrity Rehab, that's what it's called. You're right. Dr. Drew's Celebrity Rehab. And that's what that show is. You watch that. I watched a whole season of that show. And I got to be honest with you, it was like a train wreck. I felt like I was watching something you shouldn't be allowed to watch. Because I'm not a fucking professional, but I have a little modicum of knowledge of, like, privacy laws and HIPAA laws and, like, why you can't have somebody sign a contract when they're on fucking drugs and alcohol and shit. And why you can't exploit somebody who's in the depths of addiction. It's like bum fights. It's that level of exploitative, in my opinion. And very few people in media or anything ever called it out. Dr. Drew is still a respected pundit. Dr. Drew should be excoriated by the media for gaslighting and exploiting people at their lowest, right?
Well, like, Dr. Phil's kind of done similar shit, and that's why he didn't bother renewing his medical license, because he didn't want to be held to the ethical standards of practicing medicine.
Because he knows he wouldn't fucking pass muster. Because he's a piece of exploitative, vampiric shit. And nobody in the media ever calls him out for it. He's just happy old Uncle Drew Pinsky. Unbelievable. 32-hour hold to sober up before they can agree to treatment after an arrest. Right. But they wanted to find celebrities who were currently in the throes of a heroin or alcohol or pill addiction, right? Get them to sign while they're actively addicted and come in and do the whole rehab process. Dude, how that ever got greenlit is beyond me.
Well, they were just greenlighting anything that was pushing the edge at that time in reality
That
TV.
That is true. But how that didn't end in a fucking soul-crushing lawsuit for the company that made it and Drew Pinsky, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
They got the best lawyers on them contracts, I guess.
I suppose so.
That was probably a good third of their budget when they were first starting out. It's like, let's get this ironclad contract.
Yeah. Gary Busey was on that show. The dude, I cannot remember his name, but he played Kaneki in Grease in the movie. Played like John Travolta's best friend, Kaneki. That guy was on it, and they just exploited the fuck out of him and watched him have meltdown after crying, screaming, accusatory meltdown. And they just juiced that lemon, man. Dr. Drew was all too happy to run in there with the fucking cameras blazing, lights on. It's a real conducive environment to getting better. Not.
Dude, this wiki thing is interesting. So, in May 2013, Pinsky announced that Season 6 was the final season, explaining he had grown weary of the criticism leveled at him after celebrities that he had treated had relapsed into addiction and died.
He grew weary. I grow weary of the criticisms. Fuck him. Vampire.
Yeah. Did you do that episode? Did you do like Dr. Drew versus Dr. Oz or something?
It was Dr. Drew versus Dr. Phil, I think, or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dr. Drew won, and mostly because of what I'm talking about right now. A lot of people don't even know that shit. A lot of people don't even. It's like memory hold.
Yeah.
You don't see clips from it. Nobody ever references it. But I'm telling you, when it was out, it was huge. Everybody was watching it, and everybody was watching an intimate peek into a very private process. Contractually signed away their rights to privacy while they were on junk and fucked up and obliterated by necessity. Oh my God, yeah, Jordan Peterson would have been on that show if it had taken off, like, and stuck around for more than a couple of seasons. Oh yeah, Dr. Drew in general has just, you know what the fucked up thing is that the motherfucker cowered away from his medical duties to not harm people by just not letting his license lapse and distancing himself from the doctor, right? And it worked. Because nobody ever talks about all the shit he used to do. The only time you ever hear about Drew Pinsky is if you're like watching fucking CNN and he shows up as a pundit. It worked.
Yeah, it's a little... I feel like there's going to be a reckoning at some point on these medical boards. Like, what do we do with all these celebrity doctors? Because now YouTube doctors is a big thing.
No, I know. And it's just, yeah.
And I was like, remember that one news story of that chick doing plastic surgery on Instagram Live and she had hurt someone because she was looking at the chat?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, there's got to be some kind of reckoning in these medical boards about what media are they allowed to do and keep their license.
Yeah.
At what point are they not a doctor? They have to say that they're not a practicing physician anymore because they're too media involved.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's a sad thing too. Like, what a waste. You go through all this medical school and you're like, you know what will make me more money? YouTube.
Lawyers.
Yeah, the YouTube lawyers too.
Tons of them just like kind of like walked away from practicing law because it's way more lucrative to just sit and make lawyer opinion videos.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Man, it truly is an unpredictable dystopia.
Yeah. Like, there's one that popped up in my shorts as a dermatologist, but he doesn't even remotely do dermatology hardly ever. He reacts to, like, people stocking up their bathrooms and shit. It's like, so you're saying you're a dermatologist. That's your selling point of your channel, but you're reacting to people fucking restocking their houses.
Yeah. It's wild. Who would, like, if you really think about it, it's absurd, right? It is more lucrative in the current climate to talk about being a doctor rather than actually being a doctor. Like, doing doctor stuff on patients is less lucrative than sitting around and talking about a doctor's perspective on this movie or this entertainment thing or this singer or this political issue.
Yeah.
That is fucking wild. That's wild. Just putting it like that is mind-blowing to me.
And the thing is, the more they're on the media, the more out of touch they are with their medical expertise.
Right.
Because they're not spending hardly any time with patients at a certain point, if at all.
Right.
But they're still pulling the authoritative as a doctor, even if they might not have practiced in like 5-10 years.
Oh my God. Well.
Yeah, I remember you getting mad when I showed you that one doctor with his fucking 2 Lambos.
Yeah. It's fucking wild. I just don't get it, man. I don't know. The world is topsy-turvy. Or maybe it isn't. Maybe I just never understood the nature of the world and it is as it's always been, but I feel lost. Let me see what my TikTok therapist says about this. Yeah. Crazy. Go through the hell of law school.
Like, YouTube fucked up with that fucking tag. That's what started it.
What is it?
They added a tag for like licensed physicians during the COVID misinformation craze to like identify who the real doctors were. But every doctor that got that took it as like, oh, this is just a selling point that I can use to make a channel.
Yeah, now it's I'm a verified doctor and this is my opinion on this product that paid me to talk about it. Fuck. The world truly is a vampire. Yes. Billy Corgan was right. He was right.
Like, I feel like they should add something to that tag. Like, verified physician, last practiced X years ago.
Yeah. Or currently not practicing.
Yeah.
Currently not licensed to practice.
Yeah.
You know? Formerly licensed to practice. Like, let's start getting specific if you're going to give out badges, because these people that used to be lawyers giving out legal advice and shit, it's fucking wild. Like, Nick Rekieta used to be a lawyer. And that dude is on probation right now for fucking getting raided with a bunch of coke in his house. So, and his children being all hungry and dirty and fucking like not taken care of because he was living in a flop house. But playing a lawyer on YouTube. He's getting himself a little fucking spiffied up and going on and telling you what you ought to do with his little verified lawyer thing or whatever, if there's such a thing. But he ain't fucking been in a courtroom or done anything lawyerly in fucking 20 years or some shit. Yeah, used to be a lawyer should be the distinction.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there who used to be lawyers who you wouldn't take advice from. Ex-doctors, yeah, that's what we're saying. It needs to be the same fucking thing. If you ain't practiced medicine in 20 years, I don't give a fuck what your opinion is.
Or you shouldn't be like flashing your doctor.
Yeah, you shouldn't be like walking around like you're still a practicing doctor. If you ain't fucking even looked at a patient or looked at a medical journal in 20 years, I don't want to hear it, bro. It's like stolen valor at that point. A doctor is somebody who could work on you right now in their field of expertise. If that ain't you, stop giving advice.
Or at least if you're giving advice, do it within the context of, I haven't practiced medicine in forever.
Right. Yeah. But you're not going to hear that because they just look, I'm doctor.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, Rudy doing a law channel. Yeah. Dr. Phil doing a psychology channel.
Yeah. Even though he hasn't had an active license and God knows how
since before Oprah hired him. He wasn't practicing.
Yeah.
Like, he practiced.
I think he held on to his license a little longer after that, but then he just let it lapse.
But he wasn't practicing.
Yeah.
It's like, goofies. Absolute goofies. Yeah. Mayor Giuliani, lawyer at large. Let me just steal valor from my mayoral candidacy and my ex-practice.
Yeah, That's the issue with Rudy, is he's not playing up that angle as much. He still wants to just be Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
Like, if he went quiet for a year and then came back as lawyer Rudy,
yeah,
I think he'd do better.
You think so?
Yeah.
Probably right. Probably correct. People should be more skeptical about internet service in general, honestly. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you should have a healthy dose of skepticism with any service, right? If you go to a doctor and they say some shit that's contrary to what every other doctor has told you, you're right to be a little skeptical and call them on that and ask them, like, wait, well, what about this? Like, just because you're not a doctor doesn't mean that you haven't had a doctor pass actual doctoral knowledge on to you about your health, right? And so having a healthy about a skepticism about anything is okay. You should. But a good doctor will be able to allay that skepticism. A bad doctor won't.
Yeah, it'll be like, well, fuck you then. Or, like, I'm the doctor here.
Yeah, who is the doctor, right? Well, fuck you then. All right, I'll go find somebody else, right? I don't put up with that shit. I had a doctor kind of like that in, you remember that doctor in Madeira?
Yeah.
He was kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
he was so lazy too.
He was a piece of shit. He was an utter piece of shit.
On paper prescriptions and shit.
Yeah, he was a fuck. But truth of the matter is like I didn't stay with him for very long because of that. He was just a piece of shit doctor, and he served a purpose. He got me refills on my prescriptions when I needed it, and that was what he did for me, and that was it.
The day that he couldn't do it, when he was just like out of town for an indefinite period, and there was no way. We
were going out of town somewhere. I needed a refill on my shit.
Yeah.
I called down there, and they told me that I'd have to come in. I came in, and they told me, doctor's out of town. And I'm like, so wait a minute. I got heart medication, and doctor's out of town. Do you think that doctor could maybe have another doctor on staff that can refill meds for him while he's up skiing? Well, that's not how doctor works. I was like, well, then doctor can find himself a fucking another patient. Take me off the rolls. And I went to a clinic or some shit and got a refill. It's fucking retarded. It's like, what? So my heart goes on vacation with you? Is that what it is?
It's not like you waited till the last second.
No.
He was just gone for so goddamn long.
He was fucking gone. My heart went on vacation with this guy.
Yeah. Your blood pressure was through the roof by the time we got into another doctor.
Yeah. It's wild. How particularly was he awful? You could tell he didn't give a fuck. You could tell the couple of times that I actually did see him, he was just shitty, wouldn't look me in the eye, dismissive, acted like I was like a speed bump in his day, and he was pissed off at having to see me. Yeah, just a shit bedside manner, and then utterly worthless when it came to like keeping my medications filled and all of that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So not everybody with doctor in front of their name is somebody that you want to respect the opinion of, right? Wasn't even that. He was just unreachable. He's just unreachable. Why should you act like that when you have such a beautiful personality? You're such a cup of sunshine. You're right. You're right. A doctor doesn't have a duty to have bedside manner, even with an asshole. You're right. You're right. If somebody's irascible or not to your liking, you should treat them like dog shit as a doctor. Because you're not there for their health. You're there for your good feelings about being a doctor. Right, Ronald? Is that correct? By the way, I have to pass it right back to you, you yourself are a cup of fucking sunshine, friend. We're having a conversation here, and you jump in with a shitty, out of the side of your mouth, bitch boy comment that you would never say in person. So, way to point out someone else's flaws while putting a neon sign over yours. Anything else? Triggered. Got him. Got him. Got him. Got nothing to say. Kick rocks. Shit whistle. No, that was a different doctor. Oh, way earlier. This doctor that I was just talking about was just years ago. 5, 6 years ago, maybe. That doctor that was like the super pill pusher, I was in my 20s. I met a doctor, and I was having real bad mental problems. They put me on this drug that made things worse for me. And I was, instead, like, I would go in and tell the guy, like, I don't feel good on this. And he'd go, hell, we're going to up the dose. Like, we got to get it figured out. And I trusted, went along with it, because doctor. And it got worse, and it got worse. And I finally decided, I was like, I'm going to go see this doctor and tell him, like, I want to come off of this drug, but I want to do it the right way, right? And so I went into the doctor, and I gave him all the reasons. I'm having horrible flop sweats, sexual side effects. This drug is not helping me, and I want to get off it, but I know I can't stop taking it. So what do I do? And he goes, well, I'm your doctor, and I do not recommend that you get off of this drug. I think you need to be on this drug. And I was like, well, I think I need to get off of it, and I'm asking you how to do that safely. And he's like, I'm not going to give you medical advice that's contrary to your best interests. And I said, fuck you. And I walked out. And I weaned myself off the drug best I knew how. And it was horrifying. It was a terrible, terrible experience. Yes, that doc was getting a kickback to keep me on that drug. And he didn't want to give up his money. That was worth more to him than my fucking well-being. That doc was getting a payment every month, depending on how many people he had on a drug. Yep. A recent doctor that was like, Ozempic, right? I'm going into the doctor, right? And every time I see the doctor, I've lost a little bit of weight. My blood pressure is better. My mental health is okay, right? And every time I go in, Ozempic. And I finally had to tell that doctor, I was like, can you put in my chart that I do not want to hear about Ozempic? I'm not interested. Not interested. I want it in my chart. Because every time I come in here, you're trying to sell me Ozempic. I don't want it. No, thank you. Pass. Was it a psych drug? It was Effexor, XR. Extended release Effexor. High dose. One of the nastiest fucking drugs out there, too. I mean, I know it helps some people, but for people that it doesn't, and it's a rough one to come off of, too. Never again for me. out, D? The sun's finally out. What do you think about that? Yeah. Sun's finally out, and it's about 10 degrees warmer out here now, huh? Not bad. Not bad. Here's your former doctor, Paul. Would you like to try Ozempic? No. What you think, D? What you think about these woods that we live in? What you think about them? You want to get up on a chair? You want to get up on a chair? Here, look. I'll help you. Come on. D, come on. Get up on your chair. Good boy. See, it's soft, and then you can chill out here with me, and you can still see. You stay. See, it's comfy. It's soft. You have you a chair. You sit you in a chair. What do you think? You go lay down. It's soft. Yeah, there you go. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? No, that's not the spot. You don't want to be on a chair. Isn't it soft? Isn't the chair comfortable, though? More comfortable than the deck where you're laying. It could be comfortable. See, it's soft on your butt. You're an old man. You got bony hips. ¿Por qué no sit on the chair? Oh, D. You can get down if you want, but you could stay if you want to. If it's comfy, you could always stay. Oh, it's a buzzer. Shoo, B. Shoo. Okay, sometimes that's what you got to do. You just got to tell them shoo. So what's going on? What are we talking about? What's on the agenda? The new He-Man movie. No. No. It was much fun today. Yeah, I always like having conversations. It was fun. You feel a weight lifted off to you after getting your haircut, literally. Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know about figuratively, but literally, yeah. There's like 1.5 pounds of hair came off of me. Yeah, no, it was fun. It was a good combo. That's a good boy. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, a good tangential conversation that has a good flow to it is there's an art form to that, you know. It's not exactly one with a super high bar of entry. I think a lot of people could do it if they tried to do it, but you know, it's becoming more and more of a rarity. The bed up girls. Yeah, I mean, I think they still kind of do, but yes, the world was a slightly different place back then. What do you think my efforts are paying off? I consider your opinion boring. As is rarely the only two people I have this sort of conversation with have been successful. Yeah, no, I mean, y- you know, I mean, I think the proof is more in the pudding than my opinion, right? Like you're seeing your numbers do well, you're meeting the bar for monetization, and you're continuing to, right, and all of that fun stuff. Like that is more reflective of how you're doing and how you're improving than my opinion would be. Now, having said, yeah, no, I think you're doing a good job. I think you're developing a give and take kind of interaction style that is really conducive to interesting tangential conversation for sure. It's a give and take, right? You got to let that person talk, and then you've got to give your thoughts in a succinct way, and you've got to wrap it up, and you've got to let them do this and that. And it's got to have a flow to it, and when it's done, it's done. Those things are all part of the art. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm not trying to say don't, you know, and it's fine. I don't mind you. Are you cold? You want to go inside? It looks like you're cold. Here you go. Go inside. Dusty D. But yeah, no, I mean, always look to yourself for validation first, right? I don't even look at the numbers for validation, right? That's a big piece of advice if you're talking about, and I would only give that type of advice in this arena where I feel like I have some level of experience and maybe even expertise, right? Is like the less you look to others for validation about what you're doing, the more people will like what you're doing. Does that make sense? They will tell you the opposite. People will tell you that they want you to be X. They want you to do more X. You should do X, right? But what they really want is something they don't know how to do. And that sounds, you know, to a lot of people outside of it, it sounds self absorbed or conceited or whatever the fuck, right? But it's the truth, right? The very few great works of art have been created by committee. I'm not saying that like podcasting is a work of art, but think about it in that term, right? The less outside validation that you need, the better your product will be. If the audience knew what they wanted, they'd be doing it themselves, right? That's not to say you don't listen to your audience. I mean, if you're doing this type of content and you're building something around that, right? You're listening to and interacting with your audience, a big part of what you do. It's about what feedback do you take all the way to heart and what feedback do you dismiss, right? What even is feedback and what is a sneak diss? All of that shit comes into play. Sounds like somebody's doing some training. Is this your dream job? No. I don't know that I have a dream job. I want to be honest with you. Job has connotations for me, a lot of which don't apply to what I do. Now, I think what I do is work, but a job, I'm a business owner, right? So does the guy that owns Walmart have a job? I'm not saying that, there's an equivalency there, but like at some point it's like, now, of course, the guy that owns Walmart has work, right? There's work that he does to administer that or whatever, right? But does he have a job? I don't know. Made you a Reuben. Reubens are good. Yeah, we're gonna do it up. We're definitely gonna do it up. We're gonna do the Katz's Deli for a show. Crazy that TJ was your boss. Yeah, TJ and Ben were my direct reports, right? And that was a that was a contentious, dude. Man, from my perspective on the whole DP thing, because I got to look at it from a different perspective, and my shit was not secured. In that, I was an employee. I didn't own any of that show. And so my bosses were TJ and Ben, who were the owners of that show. And to a lesser extent, I guess, Scotty, because, Scotty would relay messages from TJ, right? I was definitely low man on that totem pole, full show. And that was just, it was just an interesting back and forth, man. TJ was always very supportive of my continued. I think he believed that I added value to the show. Ben was a little more skeptical about that, and so it's like, thanks, Pranav. But yeah, Dims was the wild times. I can't see shit, man. Times I get annoyed having glasses on. But they serve a function, because goddamn, I'm fucking blind as a bat without them. I can't read you guys' shit without squinting at it. Do you ever feel like a go-between when things got heated? Nah. They were actually pretty good at that, to give them credit, at like keeping me the fuck out of existential conversations and business shit, because I had no say in any of it, so why would they involve me? Sun gazing? Mm-mm. Do you know about the implosion during or after? Well, you got to understand that I was told commensurately what I was told, right? So, from what I understand, the implosion was happening for a few weeks before I was even really aware. The particulars of that are not known to me, at least not directly. But yeah, and then I kind of found out prior to anybody in the fan base finding out, but very close to the time when it happened, right? And by the way, fuck. I don't want to speak too heavily on the subject or whatever, but the Drunken Peasants ended the day that me, TJ, and Scott, well, the first season of Drunken Peasants, I'm not trying to shit talk Drunken Peasants. That part of Drunken Peasants ended de facto the day that me, TJ, and Scotty moved to Louisiana. I didn't know it at the time, but the writing was on the wall. And it was a matter of time situation, right? Now, there's months. There's a couple of months worth of DP episodes after we moved. But like I said, I wasn't completely into the dark of the situation. But when it came to the business that was going on between the parties, I was not involved in that. That was all, like, there was lawyer shit involved in that. I wouldn't chipped in on that, so I was kind of the final cast person. Well, maybe not. Poor fucking Billy the Fridge, who was kind of like a regular at that point, found out, like, last. But that just sucked. But, yeah, no. How do you feel about DFF Onion Nuggets today? Do you agree with where it's gone creatively? No. That's just that. I mean, I'm just being honest, right? And I'm to blame for that as much as anybody else, right? But I have to be fucking honest with you. Do I like the way that our show is right now? No. Are there aspects of it that I find really fun? Yes. Do I like the dynamic between me and the Kirks and that, kind of three-way dynamic? Yes. Do I still like working with the guys? Yes. Am I super stoked to fire up an Onion Nuggets right now? No. Without saying too much, one of the things that has to be managed when you're dealing with podcasting or doing a show or whatever, right? You have to manage the interest of your audience and you have to manage the interest of your performers. And I believe that and it's not like something that we did purposefully, but I think that we've stagnated a bit, right? The show has gotten a little predictable and the show has gotten a little rote and a little stale. But, and this is where we get to the point, when you're making a show, we've been talking for over a year at this point. If we talk about the first conceptual conversations, we've been talking for over a year about not a rebrand, but a refresh of the show. Conversations started over a year ago. And a lot of those conversations are now irons in the fire, imminently to come out of the fire. So, as you're doing these things, as you're conceptualizing, because one of the things I've learned too is you don't make radical changes quickly, right? You do it thoughtfully, gradually, and with a plan. Almost every time we've made a radical change to how we do things without lots and lots and lots of planning beforehand and careful thought and careful execution, it doesn't turn out great. I'll take it you can't go into specifics on that. On what? Hold on one sec. I'm going to go get myself a Scotia coffee and or a drink. take advantage of, take advantage of that. It's the creative process. Ooh. Ooh-wee. It's a good business strategy to give your customers what they want, but only to an extent. Well, yeah, I mean, because you're absolutely right about that, Pranob. And this is, once again, I'm on the outside looking in and on DP, right? I was closer to the show than anybody else because I was on it, but I was an employee of the show. I didn't get to be at the business meetings and the creative meetings and all of that shit, right? Unless they were involving me in a bit or whatever. But typically, I would find out about decisions like that after they were decided, right? And so, but my perspective was a lot of times there would be pushback from this rampagingly huge growing audience in the chat, in the comments, on social media about us expressing some idea or taking some liberty with the show or changing up how we did things, right? And I always felt the impulse to lean against that pressure. Not to fight against it and to always deliver something opposite of it, but to lean into the headwind of it instead of away from it. Because for me, and this is, once again, this is my position, you have a show that listens to the people that watch it too much, you're leaning against this like hurricane of expectation, and you can't make any progress as a performer. You can't trudge through that. And that's what's, at stake a lot of the times, I think. The Adpocalypse killed season 1 of DP. I mean, it was a contributing factor, but no. DP got really wild sometimes, almost too much. It made memorable moments, but sometimes you could feel the crackling energy, and it's hard to come down from that. Well, I mean, that came with a cost too. It came with this like rabid, rambunctious audience that was never satisfied. They were dissatisfied when they very well should have been dissatisfied, and they were dissatisfied when they had no, from my perspective, no call to be. And that ebb and flow, that chaotic energy that came out of the chat kind of owned that show in a way that was contrary to a lot of the things that show was based on. Right? If you could take two creative properties and say these are the things that gave birth to DP creatively, it would have been WWF or WWE wrestling and the Howard Stern show, right? This shock jock kind of mentality. But there was one thing that defined both of those things. They made it their business to defy convention, to whip up their audience into this hatred and frenzy, to say things and stand on them and do things and stand on them that punched that audience in the gut. It required courage to run both of those properties, right? WWE, say what you want about it, especially back in the day, the era that inspired DP required courage and honesty and a fucking forthrightness that saw audience pushback as money. That's what it was, man. That's what it was. Hatred is just as monetizable as unconditional love in this day and age. We knew it, and we did that, but we didn't do it enough. We leaned against it too much, in my opinion. Now, once again, this is my uninformed, non-business based opinion. We sacrificed too much on the altar of the audience's whim and gave too much control to the audience. And that's what I think. You know, take that for what it means, right? No, not fuck the audience. No. The audience is the point, right? The idea is like you have a wrestler, right, that comes out and everybody hates him. Boo! Fucking fire this guy! Kill him! Boo! And you go like, oh no, we should get rid of this guy. It's like, no. You shouldn't. Right? Like, that means the audience is engaged. If you think about the shit that you remember about movies or TV shows that take a twist or something, right? You remember shit that you never would have saw coming, never would have expected, never would have known to ask for, probably would have shot down if somebody pitched it to you as an idea before it was baked, right? Those are the most memorable things. And that's all I'll say. Why should their hate be free? Right? When things went off the rails, it was insane. I never felt like any of you said fuck the audience. No. The audience is the point. If there was no audience, we would just be a bunch of dudes jerking off, like talking about the news together and smoking joints. And there would be nothing to finance that lifestyle besides. No, the audience is the point. Never fuck the audience. Never. But sometimes fuck the audience. You know what I mean? Sometimes fuck you guys. But you know what I mean? Ultimately, that's the balancing act, right? And I'll tell you what our audience, like, I'll be fucking straight up honest with you guys. I'll tell you what our audience has been telling us for the last year and change. Now we're kind of bored with this shit, player. That's the energy. Well, okay, we're kind of finding other things to watch. There's shows that are, you know, a little bit more fun to watch, and a little bit more dynamic and stuff, and a little less predictable maybe, or a little more informed. Whatever it is, you know, we're kind of being, slowly but surely, we're kind of being fucking pulled away. Right? You listen to the audience. Trust me, we've been hearing. We're not blind and we're not deaf. Now, that doesn't mean you immediately make some radical change. But like I said, I don't want to say too much, but there are things in the works that have been in the works for over a year that are about to come to fruition that are a direct result of this conversation. You can go back when it happens, and you'll know when it happens. Everybody will know. You can go back and look at this, bookmark this stream, and listen to what I'm saying, and it'll all make sense. Everything about bringing on other people like DP used to. I mean, we've done that, right? We've had people on the show. It's a rarity. It's not something that we build the show around. But we've had quite a few guests on the show. We've hosted Kyle Kalinske, Vosh a couple of times. We've talked to Dylan Burns. You know, back or in the earlier days, we talked to Uwe Boll on the show. You know what I mean? We've done this. Right? Like, it's just not something that we built the show around because it's an unpredictable thing, right? I had Demon Mama on the show a couple of times. So it's like, you know what I mean? We've had the guest interactions on the show. It's just not a daily thing. I'm sure there's a couple other people. I mean, you know, obviously our family. My dad was recently our most recent guest, right? Stevie is on the show quite a bit. He's a little side character for us. The guy's mom and stepdad, Steve, and their mom, both been on the show multiple times. You know, the wives make an appearance every once in a blue moon. You know, there's a little, there, we got, look, there's stuff. It's just, you know. Are you friends with Amazing Atheists? Yeah, I work with them. I like it when you bring family. It's fun to bring family, but it's also something you have to be careful doing, right? You don't want to shine a spotlight too harshly on family. And you want them to know what it means to be on the show. It's like when my dad had a very fucking real lucid conversation about like, hey, if you don't want to do this, there's no pressure, man. He wanted to do it. Imagine Paul Sr. is only called Paul Sr. amongst this crowd. No, I mean in the family, if they're trying to reference one of us, it will be like he'll be referenced as Paul Sr., but like I'm more PJ in the family, and so that reference is implied, right? I'm Paul Jr., so I take the junior. But no, I'll tell you who brings up Paul Sr. more than anybody. Paul Sr. Sometimes Dad will call and he'll be like, "Hello, PJ. This is Paul Sr." Handsome devil, looking sharp. Thanks. Right, yeah. I mean, there are lines, right? We don't bring up kids. We don't bring up, anybody that isn't fucking indoctrinated into what the show is and old enough to know what the show is, doesn't come near the show, isn't on the show, isn't talked about, isn't a topic of the show, unless tangentially, right? I talk about how I have, like, we figured it out the other day, 15 nieces and nephews, right? All told. But you guys ain't meeting none of them, right? I don't tell you specific things about them, right? Like, well, yeah, I mean, like, if anything, I think it would have been interesting to a person that's listened to me a lot to listen to him, because you see a lot of his inflection in me and vice versa, and we kind of start mirroring each other a little bit because of that. Like motor neuron shit starts happening when we're together. But you can see a lot of people said it was very interesting to hear him talk because my cadence is very much his cadence and stuff, and it's true, right? And as far as like how I definitely inherited the gift of gab from both sides of my family, because my mom is the same way. She'll talk your ear off, and she's hilarious and fun to talk to, you know what I mean? So anywho, you know what, I'm gonna call my mom. I'll see you guys later. Peace.